Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here with another panel from Terrificon, but I'm not on this panel. This was the Jim Lee Spotlight panel. Jim didn't need a moderator, didn't want anyone to introduce him, although as you'll hear, maybe that part might have been a mistake, Jim, because you'll hear it. And he took questions from the audience as he drew Two-Face, which is interesting. And then a special surprise, one of the classic creators received a Lifetime Achievement Award at Terrificon, and Jim was roped in, although very gladly, to be the man to present it to him. That is at the end of the panel. But you're going to enjoy this. Really, interestingly, Jim not only had stories about DC, but he also had stories about Marvel and his family and turning 60. He just turned 60. It was a really good look at the man and his career. A Jim Lee Spotlight panel from Terrificon on today's Word Balloon. Word Balloon is brought to you by AlexRossArt.com and the film The Legend of Kingdom Come. This feature documentary is an origin story about the beloved 90s-era graphic novel from DC, Kingdom Come, going behind the scenes and inside the minds of its creators, Alex Ross and Mark Waid. You'll see many famous other comic creators and me in the documentary. Can't wait. The Kickstarter campaign is coming in the weeks ahead, and we will be telling you when to sign up. But you can already pre-sign up now on Kickstarter. That's The Legend of Kingdom Come, coming soon on Kickstarter. Word Balloon is also presented by my listeners, the League of Word Balloon listeners. The help that I get via contributions from Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. You hear the entertainment that I provide from Word Balloon every day, that I do a new episode. I am very fortunate to have the great creators of comics and pop culture willing to come on and give you great entertainment. I hope you will consider making an actual cash contribution via Patreon, even $1 a month. But really, if Word Balloon is worth the price of a comic book a month to you, it would be greatly appreciated if you slide that extra money you would put on an issue of a comic book to Word Balloon via Patreon. Patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you, League of Word Balloon listeners.
And I wish you a belated happy 60th birthday.
Oh, well, thank you, yeah.
Last Tuesday?
Sunday, past Sunday. In fact, some people were here at Boston Comic Con in 2016, and it was actually August 11th, so I actually celebrated my birthday here in Boston. So I have some strong memories of conventions in this area. My birthday, but for the past 4 years, I've celebrated my birthday in Kentucky. My daughter competes, she rides ponies and fences. I would not recommend the sport. It is the black hole of sports. It's a huge commitment, not just in terms of money, but time. Like, we probably spend 40 weekends a year at different shows around mostly Southern California and Palm Springs. But then there's other shows in Traverse City. I went there, did a store signing in Traverse City, and then Lexington, Kentucky, where I just was. So I went to, but luckily this year my birthday fell on Sunday. She was done Saturday. So I was in Saturday in Lexington till the 10th. On the 11th, we flew to Cabo to celebrate in Mexico with some of my family. I was there till yesterday. I took the flight back to LA and then took the red eye here and got in this morning at 7 in the morning. And then drove here and showered and I didn't expect so many people to be here, honestly. It was a very busy show. You guys like comic books in this area, so. Anyway, so has anyone been, I've never been to the show before, so I don't expect a lot of people to answer yes, but has anyone been to a spotlight panel like this where I've talked and drawn? Yeah. Got two, yeah, okay, smattering of folks. And then, so the rest of you guys are new to this. You guys are from Connecticut. I've learned that a lot of people from Connecticut don't like to leave their houses. That was my one takeaway. I ask a lot of people where they're from. I want to know who's in front of me, keeps things moving, and because there's nothing more dull than just sitting inside your name over and over. Unless they're checks to yourself, then that's pretty good. Anyway, and a lot of you guys are from like 30 minutes away, an hour away, and this is the only convention you go to. And I go like, isn't there New York Comic Con just like an hour away? And people just don't like. I guess you guys are here because it's quiet, no crowds. You know, I discovered that was it Western Connecticut's the wild, crazy part of Connecticut? Like they do variable financing for loans there, like some really crazy, out of the box thinking. I'm like, wow, you guys know how to party. So anyway, so the format of this panel is I just kind of talk, and I there was a guy that was going to moderate. Did he already leave? He's here. Yeah, and he did all this research, and I feel really bad because I usually don't have a moderator. Only for the reason that I think it puts someone in between the people, you guys, and me, and it makes it clear and it steers in the right direction. It probably is a better experience at the end of the day, but it feels less spontaneous and it feels less interactive to me, and so. Over the years, as I've done these panels, I find that it's best if I just sit here and do my thing. So I'm going to start drawing, and then I answer questions. The focus of the panel is usually around like my career. It's less about, hey, why did you kill this character? You know, in issue 148 of Batman, like, you know, whatever. Like, so they're less about the actual comics, and it's more about kind of art. I like talking about art and why I got into art and what art means to me, and my career and how I got into it. I find a lot of times when I do these panels, there are a lot of aspiring artists. Maybe a couple young kids here. Anyway, so I'm going to start drawing. Oh, and then the other reason I think some people come to these panels is I give away the drawings. There was some controversy online about my commission rates. Being very high, and I blame my daughter and her writing ponies, because honestly, I have more than I need. I mean, I've got, I draw because I love comics, but those damn ponies, they don't feed themselves, and it's ridiculous.
How did you metal and clay?
So she started out as a hunter, but she does jumpers now. So jumpers is when you have a horse and you just jump over fences, and it's all based on time. It's super dangerous. She's fallen off. The horses have rolled on top of her. It's.
How old is she?
She is 12. She's 12.
She'll be going into the metals and the clays then.
Yeah. So her eventual thing is to become a young rider, and then junior rider.
And then the Olympics.
And then she wants to be an Olympian. And I started Google like, okay. How much am I going to be on the hook for? And the average age of an Olympian is 37 years old. So I did the math, and I'll be broke. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. But I think Bruce Springsteen's daughter competed in the Tokyo Olympics, and she was in her late 20s. So it's possible if you're the daughter of a mega famous rock star. So I had to explain to her who Bruce Springsteen was. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. So I'm going to draw something. We're going to engage in meaningful, profound, hilarious conversation. Unlikely, but anyway. And then we'll give away the drawings at the end, and I just need reminders of time. So, does anyone have a request for a drawing? Patrick?
Yeah.
That is your name, right?
Yeah.
Did I guess correctly? I could have guessed a lot of different. No, so.
I go with Two-Face.
Two-Face. Okay. Is that any reason why Two-Face?
I just thought Two-Face was always just like such a cool character.
Uh-huh.
And I just like his origin story.
Yeah.
And I'm sad.
It is sad. You're right. Okay. All right. We're going to start with Two-Face. Okay. So, you know, I'm going to share a personal story. So, for my birthday, I told my kids, like, my family friends, like, please no gifts unless you're going to buy bundles of hay, because that crap is expensive. They eat a lot. But I did get this watch. I don't normally wear a gold watch, but so this is it's a fan. Can you see this? Yeah. So I got this watch for my 60th. Can you read it? No. And I was like, wow, you guys have really good eyesight here in Connecticut. It says, you have to take my word for it. It says, to Dad, with love and respect, Jim. So this is, I gave my dad this watch on his 60th birthday. And when I turned 60, he's 90 now, he gave me this watch. And I know you guys are all thinking, what a cheap guy. He re-gifted me my own gift. But obviously, it has great sentimental value, and it was very unexpected. So it was very emotional, meaningful, and it was awesome. Anyway, so all right, so Two-Face. Two-Face, the way you draw Two-Face is you draw a normal face and then you scar the left side. Super easy, all right? Did you scoff? Someone said, okay, so, oh, by the way, is anyone, we didn't do an intro, but does anyone not know who I am? No, I just realized I skipped over a big section. There's some people that are waiting for the next panel or here to take a little nap.
You draw funny books.
I do draw funny. Don't be ashamed. You can raise your hand and say, I really don't know.
You're Dan Didio, right?
Yeah, Didio. All right, well, yeah, you don't know, right? Right?
She's along for the ride.
I've done, like, so the reason why I usually don't have a moderator is, like, every panel I try to do something a little different. Like, I find myself, I consider myself a creative person, and I try to mix things up. I've done panels where I've had people from the audience come up and collaborate with me and draw sketches together. They weren't really good sketches, but that was fun. I'm going to be honest. I've had fans come up who said they were fans and said, I'm not going to do my intro. Tell the audience who I am. And that's always hilarious, too. They're sometimes pretty good with it. And so we've done it a number of different ways. And then I've also done kind of how-to drawings. So I don't know where this is going to go, per se, but we're going to start with Two-Face and see where the conversation goes. But as I start drawing, if you have a question and you want to ask, feel free to do it. And then towards the end, there will be a way for us to figure out how to give away the art. I understand that there is a website that talks about how to win these sketches. Is there someone familiar with it? Like, someone told me that, like, because I asked for a lot of similar things, and people have more regularly had those things on them, you know, and it's always surprising me, like, oh, you have a file nail, you know, or nail clippers or whatever. And it's because people share this information and they prepare themselves. So there's a whole consortium of cheaters out there that are allied with eBay, and they figure out how to way to game the system. Anyway, sir, you have a question? I'm going to draw the egg to get started on Two-Face.
I actually heard you talk before, you talked to neighbors how art is your passion, you grew up with comics, right? You love drawing. I guess I'm a little curious why you would go into the publishing business side of things, given how much you love art, right? Why go into taking over DC Comics and not drawing as much? And if you tell me that's your daughter's fault, that's tough.
Yeah, I don't want to blame her. Yeah, you know, I kind of got into it sort of backdoor. Like, I didn't get into comics because I wanted to run publishing. I didn't want to sit in, you know, P&L meetings and marketing meetings and
that was why you stopped with Wildstorm. I think you had said in an interview you didn't want to do that with Wildstorm, which is why you went back to.
Yeah. But gosh, the quickest answer to that question is, I love drawing, but when you're sitting there drawing for long periods of time, my mind wanders, and I think of, it would be cool if we did this as an initiative, or what a fun way to market and promote a comic. And so I have interest in that, and so it's really hard for me to just sit and draw. At the same time, I have people within DC that have urged me to like quit drawing and just focus on the managerial executive piece because there's value to the greater good. The money you make off a comic book is for a company like Warner Brothers Discovery is minimal. So they see more value in overseeing and shepherding and coming up with big initiatives, right? And I like that, but it's not as creatively fulfilling, right? So there's the personal work you do that's kind of in the trenches, and then you have the bigger stuff that drives the business. It interests me, but I wouldn't want to do it full time. And the comics interest me a great deal, but I find that I kind of get a little bored because my mind wanders and wants to do things like, oh, we should do prints from this, so it's just a natural inclination. So when I got into it, it was all about art. But then as I learned more about the business, I got interested in conventions, inking, writing, plotting, all these things, and I almost couldn't stop. And so the great thing about DC is they understand this sort of duality to my sort of aspirations, and they've figured out a way for me to do both, and it really is a unique kind of job for me. And so the grass is always greener. So if I'm drawing at 3 a.m. on a deadline, I go like, oh my God, I could be in a P&L meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Why am I not in this meeting? Why am I drawing? And then if I'm in the P&L meeting, I'm like, I can just be drawing at home.
Sketches in the meeting, like on the notepad.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, so here's Two-Face. Can you see this? Oh, it's the best Two-Face I've ever drawn. Just take my word for it. It is amazing. I have channeled Leonardo da Vinci in this one, I think. Hold on. There should be a... you don't believe me. There's usually... Yeah. There's a dark, but what does this do? No, that didn't do it. Once I put ink down, it should now look like I can draw without underdrawing. That's even more impressive, I think. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Can you see this? No. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna draw. We'll pass it around, and then when it comes back, I'll draw some more. Wow. All right. Hold on. Oh, here we go. What are those lines? They're shadows. Okay. That's weird.
It's the shadow from the camera and the light.
Yeah. Correct. It is.
Wheel now.
Does anyone have a strong arm and very steady control of their musculature? All right, we're just going to have to live with the shadows. All right, so that's okay. That marker is dead. Happens a lot. I do this also on Twitch, very infrequently. I'm sorry, this is the end of the day for me. I've been signing nonstop. I took no lunch break. I think we pushed through 480 people in 100 minutes. And I did the math. It came out to 12 seconds a person. So, and I was spending like 2 minutes a person at the beginning, finding out how exciting Connecticutans, what do you guys call yourself? Connecticutans? Nutmegs? Nutmeggers? Wow. Wait.
So we're in the nutmeg state, but a lot of our trees died because of or whatever. So yeah, it's not a whole great story. story we're telling.
There's a nutmeg tree.
There was.
It was.
I just
A lot of
know.
fungus killed it, and then we don't really have nutmegs anymore, and now we're just paneling.
Oh,
Well, we're between Boston and New York.
Yeah.
I was thinking
We're
this-
halfway between Boston and New York.
I was thinking of soccer. Do you know what nutmegging is in soccer?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a cooler story, by the way. You guys should say we were really into soccer and we perfected nutmegging.
You've been drawing comics for decades. Who's your
Decades.
who's your favorite?
You are hella old.
Your favorite person to illustrate, specifically from like the X-Men universe. Like, who's your favorite person to draw?
Who's my favorite person to draw? Because I've been drawing for decades. Who's your favorite character that I draw?
Well, between me and my wife, it's Rogue and Gambit. Those are our two favorites.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're my favorite. Good guess, but
Don't say Cyclops.
Cyclops is my favorite character to draw. No, you don't like Cyclops?
You're
The
reading the wrong comic.
cartoon ruined it for me.
The cartoon, which cartoon? The 97 or
The
the
original one.
original one?
Yeah, it's the one that ended in '97.
Yeah, what?
Because he was, I don't know, just seemed kind of like, his personality was kind of like wimpy.
Wimpy.
His personality is kind of wimpy.
Yeah.
Cyclops was my favorite X-Men before Wolverine. Of the original, Beast, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Angel, and Cyclops. Because he's the only one that really had powers. Like, Jean Grey could read your mind. Woo! And then Angel, he had wings come out of his back. Like, great. And the Beast was like a strong dude. Iceman had powers. Yeah, Iceman has powers. But they were cold powers. But Cyclops, he seemed very tragic to me. That he had, I think, like his earliest, like when his powers manifested, didn't he like kill his best friend or something, or hurt his best friend, or like
Blew up the orphanage that he was in.
that's pretty sad, right? Like you don't relate to that at all. You don't have any empathy or sympathy for that guy. You just said, what a boring guy. He blew away all his schoolmates, carried this trauma. You're a teacher too, right? Okay. You have a lot of sympathy for your students, I see. And I like the fact that, because, the way we take in information mostly is through our eyes. And that is the main window, literally a window of how he takes in reality. But that window is very dangerous for him. And it transformed him from being a normal person to literally possibly killing someone if you looked at him the wrong way. That's pretty heavy. Who's your favorite X-Men again?
Gambit and Rogue.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, they're similarly tragic. I mean, not being able to touch. So the robbing of the senses, right? So Rogue and Cyclops share that. And he was a little white bread, but I also felt that was partly what made him sympathetic, is that he carried a lot of responsibility. I don't know if he was a natural born leader, but that's the role he had, and that's the role he tried to fulfill. And he was dealing with a bunch of losers, to be honest. Like the other X-Men, like Warren Worthington III, multi-millionaire, he would be like the worst person to have on a team, right? He would well, why are we doing this? We could just buy that corporation. We don't need to defeat it, And so he very privileged, and so I think he'd be annoying. The Beast, probably too smart, like a know-it-all, right? Like very annoying. And Iceman, very juvenile. And Jean Grey can read your mind. Don't want to hang out with that person. Don't do that. And then who's the last person? That's it, right?
That's a five.
Professor X.
And Xavier.
And Professor X, right. So I felt like, and he had a cool nickname, Slim, which made no sense to me. So I like Cyclops a lot. And so when I got in the book, I wanted to restore him to the leadership position. But I can see why people don't like him. But I felt he really encapsulated the conceit of the X-Men, which is they had these fantastical powers, but they wished they didn't have them. They viewed them as curses. And so I thought he felt the most cursed to me of the original five. But I do like Rogue and Gambit too. I don't want you to walk away feeling like you weren't appreciated or seen. And it was fun kind of putting them in a relationship together.
Speaking of Cyclops, Jim, thanks for giving him the best character design that anyone's ever given him, because that's the definitive story.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it only took like 30 years for people to understand the brilliance of that original design. And, 3 decades. And that's why I feel like when did New 52? That was 2010. So 2040. So what is that? In 16 years, people will be like, "Oh my God, the New 52 designs are so awesome that we loved them." Because I'm not hearing that now, but I know it's coming. And actually, a few of you at this show did come up and say, "Really love the New 52," and I know that will build up. I just know how these trends work. When you've been in comics for a while, people hate change for the most part. Unless you're the first to experience that change, and then you like Pavlovian attachment to it, like, oh, this is my Green Lantern, this is my Flash, Wally West or Kyle Rayner or whatever. So it's what you kind of grew up on, and so I know that we brought in a lot of readers, a lot of new readers, a lot of lapsed readers in New 52, and they're slowly gonna reveal themselves in the coming years, and I will feel vindicated. Anyway, yes.
So when Image Comics was forming, what was the push that made you jump over and be a part of that, setting up a whole new comic?
I think a lot of it was youthful arrogance and stupidity. And I mean that in the nicest way, in that I just think when you're that age in your 20s, anyone in their 20s here? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Right? You just feel like, I don't know, you just feel like anything is possible, and you feel like no one can really teach you anything. You figured it all out. You're 25. I figured it all out. And I think a lot of us, had put our time in with Marvel, and I think I think it was Todd who said we were too stupid to realize whether we were making a mistake or not, or something like that. That you're oblivious to what you don't know, and so you're willing to take those risks because you don't even understand them to be risks. You don't even know what the consequences are. It's just like, that's cool. Let's publish ourselves. Why not? We had no idea what we were doing. We made every mistake in the book, but we were so successful in the sales of it all that it made up for a lot of the mistakes that were, you could screw up, but then we were still doing well. The mistakes weren't bankrupting us, right? And we did make a lot of mistakes, but luckily we hired a lot of good people, and those people knew what they're doing. And then obviously the company moved away from sort of the core group of 6 people doing superheroes to what it is now. But your answer is, I think we were kind of, and also at that time, I think creators were treated well at Marvel, but I don't know if they were on par with how they looked at the characters as being valuable to the business, right? They thought it was character first, and it was okay if we had creators along. But I think our point of view was that the creators were as important, if not more important, in interjecting life and excitement into these characters that have been around for decades, And I think that's vital to, like a character like Batman celebrating 85 years. How do you keep Batman relevant? Well, you have to have the best creators telling awesome stories. That's how you keep characters. When people talk about superhero fatigue, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around from topic to topic. I sound like Donald Trump or something, but that's not a dig. I'm just saying that I've noticed it's not that there's too many superhero movies. There are too many sort of not great superhero movies, right? And so how do you keep Batman? And I don't think there's any. I think the reason why Batman is the most popular character at DC, and arguably one of the most popular characters in the world, is that he's got the best stories. If you look at his library of contents from Batman Year One to Dark Knight Returns to Court of Owls to all these great Killing Joke. I mean, there's so many great Batman stories, and I think that's why Batman is popular. And you know, beyond the modern sort of origins, the cool costume, and all that other stuff, that's great. But it's the stories that really drive the popularity and engagement with the audience.
Thank you. Wildcats is still one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, wait. I'm drawing the wrong side. Like, wait.
Say it's looking in a mirror.
Mirror image. Yeah.
Yes.
That would be too easy. Hold on. I'm going to fix it.
Put cracks around, so it's like a broken mirror.
Huh?
Put cracks around, so it's like a broken mirror.
A broken mirror, yeah. There's another twin? You're crossing the streams. Yes, sir.
I want to stick on, I guess, the little image kick we're on right now.
The what?
Image.
The image, okay.
So when, I guess, post you selling your image properties over to DC,
Yes.
we haven't seen a lot of them. We've seen Grifter. Right?
Yes.
But we haven't seen a lot of the other ones, and when they've popped up, I would say that maybe they haven't been treated as well as they should have been.
Right.
Why? So there's a little more to it.
Do you want to talk to my manager? Because Karen, I don't have a lot of information. No.
So I was in college when all the image stuff
Yeah.
hit, and I was really drawn to Wildcats and Stormwatch.
Sure.
And the Backlash was my favorite for reasons.
Right.
As I've grown and sort of watched as they've been not used as well as I think they should be or could be developed more within the DC universe. It's made me wonder if it's just that there's too many fish in the pond.
I agree with you. So I think when we started the New 52, we wanted to do things that we hadn't done before, right? Day and date, digital shipping, revive a lot of like non-superhero genre, like, you know, we did Western, war. We didn't do romance, but we were doing books that I think DC has been known for many years. It's never just always been superheroes. Horror, romance, science fiction, fantasy was always been, I think, synonymous with DC until the 70s or so. So incorporating them into it. But on the other hand, I do feel like as someone who created the Wildstorm universe, it works better, in my opinion, when it's a standalone universe, right? Why do you need Stormwatch if you have the Justice League? Why do you need Mr. Majestic if you have Superman, right? And so there's that overlap to it. That said, I think there's been some really interesting takes. You know, Matthew Rosenberg did a fantastic run. Warren Ellis came back and did Storm Warnings. And I think they've all kind of have tried to address that. You know, to me, it just comes down to story and finding the right story and solving for that. But I do think they're within this sort of framework of the multiverse. It might be interesting to revisit a standalone Wildstorm universe just for kicks and for fun, you know.
So that's sort of the second question. You're looking forward to seeing one of those characters finally on the big screen with Engineer coming in Superman.
Am I excited for that?
Or do you think they're going to screw it up?
No, you seem like you're like kind of negative.
You're not going to start talking about P&Ls and assets and liabilities.
I love P&L meetings. I just exaggerate that for comedic sake. No,
I just love those properties. It's like cool.
I don't think of. I tend to be a pretty positive person. And so when I think about a character showing up in a TV show or movie, I don't go to like, oh, I hope they don't screw it up. I go to like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see how they change it. No, I can't wait to see how they do it. And I feel confident it'll happen, but I don't draw comics with the intent of hopefully seeing the ideas or the characters show up on the big screen. That's not the driving motivation behind it. It's a nice perk. I hear there's a character from the 90s I created over at Marvel that's in a recent movie that grossed over $1 billion. And it's exciting to see it, but it was, maybe if it came out like 5 years after I worked on it, but so many years have passed, it's just, it's so long ago, and I don't know, but at the same time, it was interesting to see it happen so soon. Like Stan Lee created Spider-Man in 1961? 62? Fantastic Four, 61? Okay.
It's okay, you work for DC.
Yeah. I purposely screwed that up because I don't want to make it seem like I know more about that. And so, Spider-Man came out when he was 75, I think, or something like that, right? I mean, oh, hi. What? I have 1 minute left? Oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. All right, sorry, hold on. Wow. How long was he standing there for? Okay. I'm super perceptive. All right.
You had 5 minutes when you walked to the table.
Yeah. You're very polite, by the way. All right. So let's do this. So, short answer is yes. I think it'll be very exciting, and I think it'll be interesting working on the DC side because I'm more involved in kind of what's happening. Obviously, it's James Gunn and Peter Safran's show, but and I'd never talked to anyone at Marvel about it. I found out when they invited me to the premiere. I figure why they invited me to the premiere. Maybe one of the characters, right? So I figured out why they invited me. So it's very different seeing something you created decades ago brought to the screen where you had no involvement. It's cool. It's fun, and it's very different if you're on the other side actually like reading the script and giving feedback and seeing designs, that kind of thing, and walking on the set and seeing it being more of that part of the process of the character kind of coming to life kind of thing. Yeah, but it's great. No complaints.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Ooh, I asked that as one of the giveaway questions. Are you asking to get a leg up on later? No, I'm kidding. It was orange when I was younger, but then my wife told me that you cannot have that as your favorite color, so it's black now. It's a bright, intense color. No, I still like orange. My alma mater colors are orange and black. But I think as I've gotten older, it's dark blue. I don't know. Does that say anything? Are you into? Yeah. You're just. What's your favorite color? Red.
So I like bright and vibrant.
Like blood red or like a burgundy red? Blood red. Okay. I'm not trying to go. I was a psychology major, so red. No. Your alma mater was red? Orange and black. Tigers. Yeah. So, all right. So I'm almost done with this. We got a couple minutes, right?
What was your first comic you read?
The first comic I read. First comic I remember was Tarzan, DC Comics, Barbershop, when I was probably like 6 years old or so, in Ohio where I grew up. And he was fighting a cheetah on the cover. And I've tried to find that comic again, except there's like 18 different covers of Tarzan fighting cheetah. Very common thing, but yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh. Hey, Jim. So there was a podcast, Rob Liefeld's podcast, that he was going over an old Comics Journal interview, I think he did, right before the launch of X-Men #1.
Right.
And he talked about not being happy with the printing on your art.
Yes.
Which I found very interesting. As things have progressed after X-Men #1, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, the newsprint versus the new paper, and when you thought you saw your art printed and were like, oh, that's it, that's how I wanted to see it.
Well, I think this gets very technical, but there was something called I forgot the name of it, but there was a printing process that Marvel's doing that was very cheap, and the reproduction of the black line was really, really poor, and so that looked really bad. But then, to their credit, they got rid of it after a couple years or so. There's a double-page spread that I did during the Extinction Agenda where it's all the X-Men and they're the courthouse, and it's the way they handled double-page spreads is they took the double-page spread, shrunk it down, and then printed from that. So you're going to lose a lot of detail just simply from doing that. And then there's like a Japanese version of that same comic that they printed. They didn't do that process, and you can see that double-page spread the way it should have been, right? And it's a huge difference, right? And so, and I think any large publishing company, DC included, you're going to look to save money here and there, but as an artist, that's not what you care about. It's the fidelity of the art you create on paper and how it translates when it's reproduced. So coloring, was flat colors, and so when we started Image, we wanted to increase the quality of the paper. It cost more. We sort of brought in computer coloring. That cost more because you're paying the colors probably 10 times more than what you get paid, 8 to 10 times more kind of than what they were doing before. And but that's all we cared about. It wasn't really about making more money. It was about creating the comics that we saw in our head.
Well, thank you. Did you get to a point where you saw one of your comics in Image and say I finally got it where I wanted it to be?
Oh yeah, I think the very first issue of Walk-It, yeah, like everything, from the computer coloring to the paper quality to everything. It's super important, like the weight of the paper, the texture of the paper, how it absorbs black ink. Have you noticed sometimes when you look at art, a large black space, you'll see the black space, but then you'll see color underneath it, but it doesn't go all the way through? That stuff drives me insane, right? All you have to do is put the color fully behind it, right? And so those kind of trapping issues were very common in the old days, and for the most part, they no longer exist. And I do think Image was a trailblazer in kind of improving that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Do you have a published piece that you're most proud of?
A published piece that I'm most proud of? There's a lot, but it's not for story reasons. What was it? As people bring me books to sign, I always check them out, and every time I see a cover or piece I've done, it reminds me of like where I drew it or some story like, I drew this in a hotel at 3 a.m. while my family was sleeping in bed. I drew like the cover to one of the Dark Knight Returns covers in the bathroom of the Marriott in Paris at 2 a.m. because I had to get it done and FedEx back. And the bathroom was the most well-lit room in that hotel, and I was drawing standing up on the marble counter, and the cover turned out okay. And then there's one cover I drew on the floor of a moving train, also in France. Like the aisles in between the cabins. I laid on the ground and I just drew a cover of I think Divine Right. And then Batman Black and White. I did that in a hotel room in Berlin. So I was traveling a lot. And so those are the things that kind of come up in my mind. But sometimes you just go, there's the Ruins of Kunark. It was someone brought me an EverQuest comic to sign, and I just liked how the lizard holds, I forgot the main female wizard's elf's name, I forgot. Excuse me? Fiona V, that's right. And I liked how I captured that gesture. It wasn't a big selling comic. I don't think most people... So there's something in every image I've drawn where I've done something new or I've kind of overcame an artistic challenge. And so I'm looking at it very different ways than I think you all are, which can sometimes be a detriment because sometimes I save art thinking like this is going to be valuable someday because I figured out how to do 3-point perspective in this particular cover. No one else cares, right? And so my standards or what I think I look for in a piece are very different than I think what consumers or fans or readers see. So it makes it a little tricky sort of gauging what is good or bad or a breakthrough, because my breakthroughs are not necessarily the same ones that you guys see. Okay. Yes.
Just to get your personal, professional, and corporate take on AI.
Yes.
What can you tell us?
I don't know. Do you like AI?
I think
I like to read the room. No? Have you ever used AI?
if we could have had a Jim Lee world from day one, and that model was all Jim Lee, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think companies are not at the same mindset there. I think they're more interested in the bottom lines. But
yeah.
So you are an artist, a creator, and you have a corporate role. So I'm curious.
Yeah. So to me, AI it's a bit like social media. It's interesting to look at, but it's very fleeting, and kind of the feeling goes away. It's very disposable to me. A lot of AI art to me is kind of dull. Like, it has a certain look to it, and I can kind of guess that it's AI generated. If there was an AI engine, though, that could draw like how I draw, and I got some royalty from it, heck yeah. No. so I think it's really about credit and compensation, especially if you're scrubbing from certain artists. I think that's the worst part of it, is that it's sort of taking everyone's work and just saying it has no value. We can all steal and borrow from it. I think that's wrong, right? But I think fundamentally, even if there was an AI engine where I could input something, it would draw something that I drew, I don't know if I'd use it. Like, I draw pictures, I draw because it brings me great pleasure, and I have such a sense of accomplishment when I draw something that I'm happy with at the end, even if it's 12 hours. I don't even notice that it's been 12 hours. You just get into it, and time flies by, and you have something, and you put work in, and you get something. If I didn't have to put the work in and I got something, and anyone could do that, I would feel like there was no real value there, and it robbed me of the experience of creating something and energizing the parts of the brain that really love and respond to creativity, because I think that is something I do pride myself on, and it gives me great joy being creative. So I don't know if I'd want to live in a world where I didn't have a means of tapping into that. That said, I've used AI to write letters of complaint, and man, it is great at bitching out people. I was on a flight where the seat didn't recline back, and I just typed in one sentence, and it generated this letter. I sent it off to an airline, and they gave me and my wife $200 of credit each. Fantastic. And I just don't like writing letters of complaint. I hate complaining, and I feel like I'm wasting my time. So there's some real benefits to it. And if you have to create a puzzle with rhyming stanzas, it's super helpful in that. So I do feel there's value in it. I've tried to push it to create like names of superhero characters. It's horrible at that. It's not great at generating story and everything. And I get that maybe someday there'll be a world where everyone can create content. I just don't know if that's the world I want to live in. And frankly, I probably won't be around, so I don't worry about it too much. So anyway, there you go. All right.
How was having a daughter impacted your work?
I have 6 daughters. Yeah. Daughters, yeah. And the 5 oldest kids were all teenagers at once. I call those the lost years. Daughters are amazing, and I don't want to generalize or be sexist, but they're much more social. It was 5 girls, 3 boys. No, 5 girls, 2 boys, a girl, and a boy. And then when all the girls were out of the house in college and it was just the boys, it got super quiet. And, how was school? Okay. And then they go in their room, and I wouldn't see them for like 2 weeks. And and they were heavy into gaming, and so, but I love them obviously for different reasons. But the girls, they bring me great joy. They are so open with like just sharing what's going on in their lives, and now they're at an age where they appreciate having parents, because there's some years parents know, right, that kind of go away, or they're not as thankful, they're resentful, there you go, that's and then they go away and they turn 21, 20, and they come back and they're like very thankful, and all the memories that they thought were boring and horrible, like that was a stupid trip, they go like, why can't we go back? That was so much fun. I'm like, are you the same person? Like, what happened? There's a mind swap or something going on. So it's great. It's like parenthood, and it's been a true blessing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. We actually have a special thing we're going to do for you all, and then I'll give away this art at the end, and hopefully I'll kind of talk. But we have a special award that we are going to present. Jose Garcia Lopez. You're probably wondering why you're here at my panel. Okay. Please come up. Please. I'm going to have you help me finish this drawing. No. Good. Good to see you. Good to have you. Take a seat. Sure. Or no, stand up. We'll do this standing up. Okay. So this is a Terrificon sort of a Lifetime Achievement Award that I'm happy to present you for all the amazing work and artwork and enjoyment that you've given generations of fans over the decades. And I'm going to share a personal story. When I was like 10 years old, like 9 or 10 of the 4th grade, I would go to this hobby store where they sold model kits. I would, build tanks and soldiers, whatever. But they had these stickers, these large stickers of all the Justice League, the Flash, Green Lantern, Superman. And I coveted those stickers. I wanted to shoplift those stickers, but they were too big. I couldn't fit them into my pants. But they were so iconic, and they so personified the personalities of those characters. And that was your work. And to me, if there is someone who's the face of DC, I think to me, Kurt Swan was like the face of Superman. Yeah. But the face of DC, artistically, has always been your work. And I just want to thank you, obviously not for just this award, but what you have contributed to DC and really defined it in the eyes of millions of fans all around the world. So I just want to tell you, as a personal fan, thank you so much. And it just trips me out that I am here on the stage getting to present this to you. It makes all the years of working hard to get to this point worth it. So,
well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.